guys, I'm Lucy Biggers. I'm here with Nwadike. What's up? He's the founder of Free Hugs Project. It's a movement that's taken off on social media. He has almost 1 million supporters on Facebook. Your videos go crazy viral. Like, some of them are getting 46 million views, and it's all because you have this message of love and hugs, obviously. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I just love your videos, and so I'd just be really interested to know right off the bat how this journey started for you. Where did Free Hugs come from?
Yeah, it was my response to the attacks on the Boston Marathon. I'm a runner and a race organizer, so I own the Hollywood Half Marathon and the awesome 80s run in Pasadena. And so as someone who not only produces events, but I started running kind of as an outlet to get away from the fact that growing up, my family, we were homeless. And so I just needed something to clear my head. And I feel like I literally ran out of poverty.
Wow.
Because it helped me find myself, found purpose in my life. I got a track scholarship and then ran with the Nike farm team for a couple of years. And it changed my life. And so when I saw the attack on the Boston Marathon, I felt like it attacked everything that I know, and it gave me so much purpose in my life. So I needed to do something about it. And my response was just go out there and remind people how important love is.
Right.
And I didn't think people would hug me back, honestly, because I mean, you train so many years to get to the Boston Marathon. It's a really serious race, you know, and for thousands of people to have run off course and given me a hug, it meant so much. And that video went viral immediately, and I realized people want to see these examples of love more frequently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was 2015?
2014. So the attack happened 2013.
Oh, wow.
And so the following year, that was my response.
Wow.
I was going there.
And so then from that viral video to now, is this something you're able to do full time?
Yeah, strangely.
Hug giver.
Yeah, I'm like a professional hugger now. But I speak at colleges and high schools now. I bring a message of love, a message of unity. I feel like lately the message in schools, especially in high schools and middle schools, has been anti-bullying. But I think you can speak less about bullying if you can remind the students to love one another and get along and care more for one another. And then the bullying just kind of goes away on its own.
Right.
And so that's more of the approach that I take at the high schools, whereas at the colleges, it's a message of encouragement that we're all in this together. Let's help one another out. You know, let's be more loving and caring for our classmates and people that we have to work with, and it'll help make the world better. And
you document most of your videos on Facebook, Free Hugs Project.
Yes.
Give people who maybe aren't familiar with your work some examples of the videos that you've created.
Yeah, one of the big ones was when I went to a Trump rally. I tried to give hugs at a Trump rally in Wisconsin.
Oh, right.
The response there, it was interesting. But I think it was because of the part of the country I was in. Because I did give hugs at a Trump rally in San Diego, and it was love. So they
interesting.
Were cool. Yeah. But I also, when I went to a Bernie Sanders rally, there's a lot of love there as well. And so that video went viral. I had titled it "Make America Love Again," and it was great. It did really well. And then
I remember that one. Yeah. There was like group hugs.
Yes, really like giant hugs. Yeah, it was great.
It was beautiful.
There was actually, I always tell people when I'm out at the talks, in that video, there's a scene where this guy comes up and gives me a hug, and he had a crew of guys with him, and he picked me up and carried me to them, and then they started spinning me around, and it was like this merry-go-round of hugs. Still my favorite hug of all time.
Gosh, well, when you came in and we hugged, I was like, I feel like I'm hugging 1,000 people when I hug you.
Like tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people.
So what's your approach to doing this? You obviously have a knack for making videos go viral, but how do you know where to go? Because you're always in the most interesting places, I find.
Yeah, I tell people it's kind of like that, you know, with the superheroes, when the bat signal goes up when there's a tragedy taking place. People actually message my Facebook page now. They go and they leave comments on the wall, they email me and they say, hey Ken, it's getting bad out here. How long until you guys show up? And we literally, I mean, anywhere there's tension or people hurting, we just go in and be a reminder of love.
Right.
And so, you know, and we follow the news as well to try to keep up with what's going on and figure out where we're needed. But the response from people who understand my work now and know when we get there, that's all we're doing, is really just trying to spread love and inspire viewers, you know. So we always film it, and we try to create a good story out of a bad situation. Right. And we do that by spreading love there. And that was kind of what happened in Charlotte, you know. It was a bad situation. Someone had just been shot in the face outside the Omni Hotel there during the protests that night. And I knew just go in and create a good story there, and worked out. Well,
perfect, because we have a clip where I want to show, which I think is really interesting, because you're at Charlotte, there's, you know, protests against police brutality, there's, you know, Black Lives Matter, but there's also these people who are cops and it's their job. And I think you bring a really interesting perspective, the human perspective. So let's take a look at that, and then I want you to speak to the clip.
Cool.
You're not getting attacked. You're a free hug, brother. That's right, brother. Thank you, man. That's right. Thank you for being out here and being peaceful. Hey, bro, you know what? I love you. I can see you all the time. Hey, you pussy, nigga. It's not even like that. It's not even like that. It's about staying neutral. That's what's important. That's what's important. So I'm gonna push you because nigga, these motherfuckers not staying. Goddamn. What you say? Did he kill somebody? Did he kill somebody? Nigga, that fucking squad did that shit. Somebody? $100 my motherfucking family.
Great. So can you explain, I was so moved by this video because you are really on the front lines of some serious passion, and you were able to maintain your perspective and speak your truth. And that's so difficult. And so in this, explain what was happening in this clip.
Well, I was actually hanging out with the protesters before that moment happened, and just trying to tell everyone, hey, keep cool. We don't need to throw rocks at the cops. And, you know, there was a good response that I was getting from people, and being on the front line. And as the police were moving in, I was telling people, hey, just move back a little bit, you know, so they don't have to pepper spray you or hit you with a baton. Because a lot of times people think that I'm just out there hugging cops. I'm like, no, that's not all that I'm doing. I'm making sure protesters don't go to jail, and just making sure that everyone remains cool. And so there was a moment where, after hanging with the protesters, one of the riot police officers there, he's a big guy too, he lifted up his mask and he said, hey, can I get one of those hugs? I was like, of course, you know. And I go and give him a hug, and immediately these same protesters that I was cool with now just turned on me fast, and started calling me all sorts of names, and saying that I'm a cop and all that. I'm like, I'm not a cop, man. Like, I'm a human being, and they're human beings just as much as you're a human. And I needed them to understand that by them judging all the cops that way and throwing rocks and bottles at them, that's like saying every police officer is bad because one cop did something. And the only way I could convey that message to them was to help them understand, you know, if one black person does something bad, should we feel like all black people are bad? You know? And so that's the same way I wanted them to feel about these police officers there. None of these cops here shot anyone. So why are we throwing rocks at them? Why are you throwing bottles at them? So it was an important dialogue.
But I think with these issues right now, it's so, we see Blue Lives Matter, we see Black Lives Matter, and, you know, both do, but then you have All Lives Matter, you can't say that because it's bad. Like, so your actions are divisive, even though when I hear you articulate it, it makes a lot of sense to me. So how do you speak to that and to the, you know, police brutality is really freaking real for a lot of people, and their anger is valid. How do you transmute that into something productive?
I just try to make them understand that the way we're going to move past some of these police brutality cases is when we can get rid of the fear and hate on both sides. You know, because it's definitely two-way. You know, there are police officers that are fearful when they pull people over or they're going into a situation. They're afraid for their lives, and I think that that's how these incidents happen. I don't think that it's just full-blown racism. Cops are out there killing black people. I don't believe that at all. There are some cases, you know, but that's not how this is happening over and over and over again. It's fear, and I think that the only way we're going to get rid of fear is to become human to one another. And when we can see them as human beings, they can see and respect us as human beings as well, then there's a more cordial and respectful response that we have towards one another. And that's the only way we're going to move past this. But when we're creating more division and tension by throwing rocks, and you know, and now the police are looking at us like, oh, well, I'm going to get attacked by them. So you know, we have to fix that. We can't respond to things with violence. And I think this message has been getting pushed for a long time. I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all the way back to Jesus. You know, we know that
peaceful.
Peace. That's the only way we're going to solve these things. You're not going to fix violence with violence. You're not going to fix hate with hate. And so we just need to figure out how, by being peaceful, we can fix these things. And there's actually some people that don't agree with that. There's people that think
they're angry. They're angry.
And their anger is valid. You know, I get that, but violence isn't going to fix violence. Hate's not going to fix hate.
How did you arrive at this? Because I think each person has their own personal evolution. And I think probably a lot of people that you're dealing with on the front lines who are really angry and don't understand, that's the stage that they're at. They need to feel that anger. So did you ever have a moment where you felt that anger and you came out on the other side? Or have you always just been able to see that love and light?
I think it was just the way I was raised. You know, I lived in South Central Los Angeles in '92 during the Rodney King riots, and my mom would not let us step outside, you know. And so we saw all the damage and destruction going on in our community. My friends, they were out looting with everyone else, and my mom was like, you're not doing that. So those values have always been instilled in me growing up my entire life. And so now as an adult, I'm able to look at these situations and be out there on the front line and reminding people, don't destroy your own community. I know what that does. I've seen my entire community destroyed in one of what I felt was the worst riots of our lifetime. You know, some of these riots that have come up over the more recent years, I haven't seen anything like '92 in Los Angeles. Our community was destroyed. And so that has stuck with me. And I was a boy when that happened. You know, I have kids now. And I know how important it is for us to preserve our own communities and respond with love when we see incidents like that happen. And I know it's difficult, you know, but I mean, when you go and study the, I guess the results of what have come out of peace movements from over the years, we'll get a much better response by loving people and humanizing one another than becoming violent.
And are you getting a lot of backlash though on your page and everything from people?
Sometimes, and it's really disheartening, you know, and it comes from all sides. You know, sometimes I'll get it from racist groups that don't like me doing that, but sometimes I also get it from African Americans and various groups that say, why are you out there hugging your oppressor when you should be shooting back or throwing things at them or you know, and it's sad to know that there are radicals out there that think that the way we're going to solve these police brutality cases is to kill the cops. I'm like, are you crazy? You're gonna get everybody killed.
Yeah, it makes it a lot worse.
That's like the worst response. But there's people that I mean, if they're telling me don't hug and don't show love, then are you really expecting that I should, you know, go and be violent to them? And it doesn't make sense to me. And so I try to talk to them, but you know, there are those radicals that you're not going to get through to them. They feel that the way to resolve these issues is to burn down communities, destroy things, and be violent. And it's absurd to me that that's their response. But to them, they probably look at the fact that I'm out hugging people and trying to show love. That's probably absurd to them. And I wish there was some middle ground or conversations that we can have to be able to figure out how we're going to fix that and help them understand that by being violent, you're just going to get more brothers in jail, more brothers killed, right? I mean, that's all that's going to come out of violence. If you're out there looting and the cops are firing tear gas on a crowd and making arrests, is that not what we're trying to prevent? That's why you're marching. We're marching for equality. We're marching for unity. You're not going to find that by being violent, and then now you're arrested or you're shot, or you're perpetuating this fear and hate, and so now more people are getting killed when they're getting pulled over, etc. Violence is not the answer, and I think we just need to figure out ways that some of these radicals or people that have so much anger built up, we have to come up with a better solution. Even if they feel, okay, the solution's not love or hugs. I get it.
Something.
You know? Yeah, it's got to be something, but don't bash me for trying to spread love. I'm contributing to de-escalating some of that tension there. And I just wish that there are more ways that we can figure that out as opposed to let's throw rocks at them or let's shoot them. Are you crazy? You cannot do that, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I think we're just in a really polarized time. And so if you're on one side, you want to think that all protesters are really good. If you're on the other side, you say all cops are really good and the other side is bad. But you're just trying to show each individual has the choice
100%.
to be good. And did you, because you obviously, you know your beliefs right now, like speaking to you, I can hear it, it's part of who you are. When you did those free hugs at the Boston Marathon, did you have any idea that this is what this would become?
No way. I did not know that, you know, a couple of years later I was going to become a full-blown peace activist.
It's amazing.
Out there fighting for peace and love, but things just kind of evolve that way, you know, and I'm even finding that my work as a race organizer, I'm relying more on my team to assist with that, and my wife to assist with that, because it's hard to have the time for it when there's all this chaos going on all over the country, and I'm being pulled in so many different directions. Activist groups want to meet with me, various organizations, news, media, and even the police. You know, the police reach out and say, hey, let's figure out how we can bridge the gap. Let's ride along through neighborhoods and talk with people and open up that discussion and dialogue. That work has become so important and so powerful to me now that I'm finding more fulfillment in doing that than, you know, being in my office. So
it's amazing. I mean, we all need it so badly right now. We work in the news cycle. You know, my heart hurts.
Yeah.
And so when I see something like you, I was so excited to give you the chance to talk and give you an audience, is because we just are all, on some level, I think, really craving this. So I'm so grateful for that. And explain what your vision is for this movement. Where do you see this going? What lessons, I don't know, what would you like to spread to the world on a greater scale?
I would love to see a real movement of love and peace, like just flood the world, not even just the States, but the world. I mean, we need it so much, and we're just constantly seeing tragedy after tragedy. And you know, you're in the media, so you probably even see it more than what I see. If I was watching the news all the time, I would get depressed, you know? And so a goal for me now is to just really keep pushing good news out there and inspiring people to just feel good and realize that we're not in that bad of shape. And if we continue just seeing all the bad stuff all the time, it's going to cause people to act kind of strange, you know, because they think, oh, the whole world is messed up, but we're not in that bad of shape.
We're really not.
You know, and we just need to get that message of love and peace and unity out there more, and we'll start to see these police brutality cases reduced. We'll see racism and hate reduced, and you know, sadly, there are the higher ups and the politicians that I don't think are speaking enough towards that, like moving us towards a place of peace. I feel like there's this kind of stirring of hate going on right now, and if they're not going to do it, then it's up to us to try to just push more love in there.
What would be your advice to other people who maybe are frustrated and their first instinct is anger? If you could speak to those people, what would you say?
I would say, you know, anger is not going to get us anywhere. It doesn't solve anything. No one has really come up with their best ideas out of anger, you know? You come up with some of your best ideas when you're able to calm down, take it all in, assess the situation, and figure out, okay, here's how I'm going to move forward from that. But I know I've come up with stupid ideas out of anger that have landed me in trouble, and I think that's going to be the general response for most people.
Yeah, I think this is just such an interesting conversation. And if you want to check out comments, are you following them? Because I'm sure people know you really well, and so if there are questions in the comment sections, but like, I feel like I could talk to you all day, because this is what makes my job so rewarding, is being able to give a platform to people like you and not just focusing on the tragedy in the world. We all know that there's bad things, but it actually is, I think, harder to see the good.
Yeah, very true.
It's so important to like really, I don't know, we actually live in a peaceful time.
Yes, we're better off than we were decades ago, you know, and I think we need to celebrate that rather than constantly celebrating the bad news and the negativity that we're seeing so much out there. And that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm hoping to continue to grow that platform and just in any ways possible. And I'm talking with a few different media outlets and networks to figure out, okay, how can we get more good news out there? And so it's working out.
That's good. So you have a lot of, like, what are your plans sort of in the next week to a few months down the road?
Well, I would say by 2017, I think there's actually going to be we're talking with a few different networks about getting some of this stuff on TV.
Amazing.
Where people can just tune in and see good stuff, things that are going to make them feel good. They're going to make them cry happy tears. So I'm talking with a few different agencies and networks right now, but I think 2017 is going to be that year where it grows even beyond social media. And the social media following has been great, and I really appreciate almost 1 million people now that are following the Free
So
Hugs
crazy,
Project.
1 million
it's nuts.
people.
Yeah, they just want to see love. See, I mean, and people are hungry for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be able to give them that, not only on social media, but also on just their regular TV outlets, or whether it goes to Netflix or Amazon, Hulu, wherever.
Right, and I think that's important. Social media, people who find you are seeking it out, but people who maybe are still tuning into cable haven't even thought about seeking it out.
True.
So getting it into more homes would be really important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just so grateful to talk with you. You're so inspiring, and I think you can inspire each individual person that something as simple as a hug
Yes.
can transform into 1 million followers on Facebook.
And change the world.
And change the world. Yeah, do we have
crazy.
questions?
Just before we wrap, I
Yeah.
just want to know, like, you know, you have a lot of love. I almost can't keep up with all the love.
Cool.
Can't keep up with the love in the comments.
World. People are really interested in knowing how they can be involved and help you out.
Cool.
So
Right.
please iterate.
Awesome.
that.
Yeah. I think in 2017, I'm going to be working on really forming this cool ambassador program and having people all over the country being able to come in and spread love in their communities and really inspire change. So just bear with me for a little bit as we go, because it's all been happening so fast.
Right.
So it's very hard for me to keep up with it all. But by 2017, I'll have some downtime to structure it all, because I just want to make sure if I do it right. Because movements have been destroyed from poor leadership. You
Right.
know, very strong movements have been, and so I want to make sure that when it's done, people will say, man, they're doing some major things, and I only want good to come out of this.
And your wife is here, and I would love to do an interview with her, what she thinks about all of this.
Oh, she gets super nervous on camera. You want to come on camera? Come on
She's in the
camera.
back and goes,
Just
"Oh,
at least come
God."
say hi.
Okay, just come say hi.
Yeah,
People can see you.
she gets. She's super camera shy. I'm not.
Obviously, you're not.
So, cool. You're not gonna speak?
The woman behind the man. What do you just look quickly? What do you think of all of this?
I think it's great. I think what he's doing is amazing. The world needs so much more love, and for him to go out there and spread it, I just think he's doing a great job.
Cool.
Love it. Oh, you guys are so amazing.
Thank you.
We thank you guys for watching. We're gonna close out the segment, but thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
us. Yeah.
I love you all. I want to give you guys group hugs.
Group hug.
Oh,
Awesome.
you're
Thanks.
such a good hugger.
Thanks.
Sorry to call you out.